This is the first screencast in a series of recordings on the use of learning strategies by multilingual learners. In this screencast, I'm going to focus on multilingual learners' autonomy in learning additional languages. This is the outline of my talk. First, I'm going to define what learner autonomy is, particularly in the context of multilingualism. And then I'll briefly discuss the specificity of learning languages by a person who already knows at least one foreign language. On the basis of the multiple definitions of the concept of language learner autonomy, its key characteristics can be extracted. So, learner autonomy encompasses the following features. A learner's ability to take responsibility over his or her learning, a learner's willingness and action to take responsibility for one's learning, conscious intention to learn, and also reflection upon one's learning processes and outcomes. Also, importantly, self-regulation in a learner's thoughts, learning, and interactions. Nowadays, autonomy has been reconsidered to reflect the multilingual turn in language instruction. In this perspective, when the aim is to become multilingual and develop plurilingual multi-competence, autonomy needs to be perceived in broader contexts of linguistic diversity and of more complex and dynamic processes of learning multiple languages. It also needs to address language choice, the flexibility of language use, and the space in which linguistic encounters occur. These encounters can take place in formal settings, such as school, but also in informal settings, such as technology-mediated contexts. As written by Benson and Lamb, multilingual learning can broaden the student's linguistic horizons. In light of this, a definition of multilingual learner autonomy has been offered. It is understood as the learner's capacity to become competent speakers of the target language who are able to exploit the linguistic and other resources at their disposal effectively and creatively. The linguistic resources encompass the whole linguistic repertoires of multilingual learners, including the native language and all non-native languages. But there are also other resources that can be found within the context of learning and within communicative situations of language use. It is important to stress that all languages present in one's mind may interact, which means that the native language influences the foreign language, but also a foreign language influences the native language, and different foreign languages learned earlier or later may interact and influence one another. This is in line with the concept of cross-linguistic influence introduced by Kellerman and Sherwood Smith in the 1980s. Cross-linguistic influence refers to a range of phenomena embracing the relationships among languages, such as language transfer, interference, avoidance, borrowing, language loss, and other kinds of cross-linguistic effects connected with mental processing. Psychotypology refers to an important psychological phenomenon denoting language users' intuitions about the similarities and differences among languages, and about which features from one language can be transferred to another language and language use. These perceptions based on intuitions are very often quite correct. The concept of multi-competence denotes the very specific competence that a multilingual person possesses. Its definition, according to Vivian Cook, is the overall system of a mind or a community that uses more than one language. The most important aspect of this perspective is thus that because of the possible dynamic interconnections among all languages in one's mind, none of the languages is switched off completely in language production and in language learning. So to conclude, all of the concepts listed in this slide point to the interconnections and mutual relationships among the various languages within a multilingual mind. These complex interlingual relationships make a multilingual learner a specific one. A lot of research has confirmed that multilingual learning differs from learning the first language by a monolingual person, and research has pointed to several advantages that a multilingual learner has. So first of all, multilingual learners possess higher levels of metacognitive and metalinguistic awareness. Also, the sociolinguistic processes of code switching and code mixing are natural phenomena in naturalistic as well as in educational settings. Translanguaging, a related concept, refers to a multilingual speaker developing a specific idiolect, a system which incorporates elements of the different languages they know. So, translanguaging is a way of exploiting the full linguistic repertoire in a specific social situation of a given interaction. Moreover, another advantage of a multilingual speaker is a higher level of cognitive flexibility and better performance in executive functions. The terms that appear in this slide have been already discussed in much more detail in the other modules in this course. In this module, it is particularly important to stress that multilingual learners have a particularly well-structured system of learning new languages, and this brings us to the topic of language learning strategies. Thank you for attention. If you're interested in what learning strategies multilingual learners can use, please watch the screencast Multilingual Learner Strategies in Learning Additional Languages.